The GSEs play multiple roles. There's a public role of providing affordable housing, mortgage finance, of creating liquidity for mortgage finance. Then they also have then that breaks down into a question of them securitizing and guaranteeing versus holding on portfolio, which I think is an important distinction. But I think what we all agree is those public roles do not work when combined with a profit-seeking role of a private entity or quasi-private entity with the implicit subsidy kind of on the back end. So I think, that I would hope, and by now it's a little bit, the barn door is closed somewhat, but that there's agreement that those mix of private and public don't mix, and they don't mix well, and they were a flawed design from the get-go. On the which public roles to maintain, it's a long explanation, so I'll keep it brief. On the affordable housing, we do have something called FHA and Ginnie Mae, and I think we can talk about reform on those, but I think that's kind of where you house, for lack of a better word, the affordable housing goal. And on the mortgage liquidity, it's a tough question. I mean, what would mortgage rates look like without the GSEs? Now, certainly now there would be no securitization and rates would be higher. But that's not to say that there wouldn't have been a private market in the first place had there not been GSEs. And it's also not to say that if you had a private market strictly for mortgage finance and then you had a crisis, the Fed has shown very creative ways to provide liquidity. So irrespective of whether or not it's a public entity or not. So there are options even in a private world. But like I said, it's in my mind not a resolved issue.